Hi, I'm Rick and Rick Turns, and for today's project I'm going to do another tea light candle holder. Now this one is spherical, obviously, hollowed out, and as with my other one, got an electronic tea light candle to go inside of it, which has a switch on the bottom so you can turn it on and off. Just drop it back in there. In a dimly lit room, you get a nice pattern showing up there. In a brightly lit room, you probably won't see much of the candle light, but this is ambrosia maple, and it's a fairly striking piece of wood. So let's get started. Well, for this project, I'm going to start off with a block of ambrosia maple, about 4.5. Yeah, about 4.5 on the side, and about 7 inches long. Now that's really longer than I need. But whatever size you make it, whatever your diameter here after you round it down, you've got to have at least that much in length, plus maybe another inch for parting off and mounting in a chuck. So I'm going to round this down, and I'm going to turn a tenon on, let's see, probably this end. I have to take a look after I get it rounded down. I just want to set up 1500 RPM. And let me see, I believe that is 1500 right there. And now I'm all set to go. This is about the third time I've used this lathe. This is a Nova Galaxi DVR. You might have noticed there when I turned the power off, it stopped rather quickly. That's a feature of the Galaxy, which I find very nice, is that it will break. You can turn that feature off if you want to, but so I turned it on, turned it off. You see how quickly it stopped there. You saw how it kind of pointed over. That is the automatic braking feature, which is pretty nice. All right, I'm going to even up both ends here. And I'm going to turn the tenon for my chuck. I'm going to be using a Nova G3 chuck with 50mm jaws, but the jaws are actually very deep. As you can see, they go in over an inch there. So that'll give me, I'm going to cut a longer tenon because of that, take advantage of that extra holding power. Now, get the dimensions here. All right, that's about right. So this is my diameter. I'm going to go over to the workbench, draw a little diagram so that I can figure my maximum depth here. All right, I am just going to draw a line right through here to start from. And the first thing I want to do is draw a circle for the diameter of my sphere. I'm going to mark the width right there. I need to find the center point, of course. So now I'm going to draw my circle there. So this is the diameter of the sphere. And the reason I even drew this is because I'm going to have to drill a 1.5 inch hole in the sphere for this tea light candle. This is an electric tea light candle. It's a slightly less than 1.5 inches. So I will be using a 1.5 inch Forstner bit that I bought just for this purpose. I'll be drilling it down from the end, of course. And to find out how far I can drill down, I am going to mark out the 1.5 inch point on each end. So now there's going to be a hole going right through there, right through there. So this point right here is the deepest I could possibly go without cutting through the bottom. Now, we are starting with a square end down here where I'm cutting the sphere on that piece that's on the lathe, so we're not even going to have that segment up there. It's not going to be there at all. I want to leave me some room here, obviously, so I'm going to leave about a 1/2 inch there. And mark that right there. And mark a line through there. So, the distance I want to drill to is going to be from here down to here. That is 3 inches, 3 1/2 inches. So that's 3 1/2 from this point down to this point. Then this is 1/2 right here. Now, this is the diagram. So this line right here, that is that right there. And this line right here is where I want to cut to with my drill bit. So that's 3 1/2 inches, and I'm going to mark that off. And we got 3 1/2 right there. So there is my depth line. I actually don't need that because I'll be using the graduations here on the tailstock wheel. Now, I also want to put a mark here, come down another 1/2 inch. So I'm going to mark that at a 1/2 inch. And the final thing I want to mark out is the center point of the sphere, which will just help me when I'm cutting the sphere, getting down to the right size there. And that is at 2 1/16 inches. So I'm going to mark that. I'm going to mount this in the chuck, then I'm going to set up for drilling. Got the chuck on here. You remember what I said about the auto brake? The set screw on the chuck that I'm talking about is right here. You can see, you just tighten it down with an Allen screw as far as it will go. And that will keep that chuck from unspooling or unspinning or spinning off when the auto brake is engaged. And of course, if you don't want to fool with that, you just turn off the auto brake feature. It's all in electronics. Can be done from the control panel. All right, I am going to set this to 500. That's 500 right there. Don't let too many shavings build up behind the drill bit because it will jam it. And that's really annoying. 3 inches. That's just under 3 1/2, and that's going to be good. Now, I start doing the sphering. Going to remove the Jacob's chuck here and put in a tailstock with a large cone center. This one right here. I'm going to be using a 3/8 inch spindle gouge initially. And I'm going to switch to a skew here to clean up the surface a little bit for my final cuts. And you heard the breaking gauge there. See it bouncing back and forth a little bit. Alright, I'm going to be hauling this sphere out. And if I'm really lucky, I won't go through the side of it. And we'll have something we can use. I'm going to go into about 3 3/4 inches, which I think I am going to tape on here right now. And I put this tape at 3 1/2 inches from the very tip here. Alright, I've got my little sidewall gauge. Probably need to open it up a little bit more so I can see. Maybe down towards the bottom here, it might be right up here, right up through here. Nope. So, keep hollowing. Now I'm going to be essentially piercing a design into here with a hole right in the middle of it. So I am going to go ahead and drill that hole, and that'll be an easy indication of whether I've got the walls close enough. And I've got a 1/4 inch Forstner bit here. And I'm going to center the design right here. Alright, I have got, looks like less than a 1/4 inch there. So I'm going to check it to be more sure. And I'm showing 3/16 of an inch. I'm going to try and get it a little thinner. I could regret this. Take the lock off. This lathe has a very convenient lock and unlock button for locking the spindle. This is the lock unlock button, which I really like the way they've got it set up. You lift it up to move it, set it around the lock, clicks back down into place when it gets to the right point. Unlock, same thing, just like that. You can see this wood is a little bit crumbly back here, where it had definitely some punky wood, and it tore out around here, even though there's over 1/8 of an inch. So I've got to clean this up obviously. Gonna try one more time here. All right, now I'm gonna do the sanding. I'm just gonna turn off the camera. Nobody wants to sand or watch sanding, including me. I have the lathe set at 750, and I'm just finishing up the sanding with 1000 grit paper right here. Now the next step would either be to put the finish on, then part it off, and then do the designing work in here, which I'm going to do with the rotary tool. Or what I'm actually going to do is take this whole thing off, leave it in the chuck, take the whole thing off, take it over to the workbench, cut in my design here, and then I'll bring it back here and finish it. And that's so after I cut in that design, I can do just one more pass at very fine grit sanding, and then put on the friction polish, which is what I'm going to use. All right, off to the workbench. I'm back at the workbench now, and I'm going to be doing a little design here. And this is going to be a really dead simple design. All I'm going to do, I just want to make kind of a starburst here with straight lines. I don't have any really good tools for doing wood piercing. I've got a rotary tool here, which goes up to 30,000 RPM, and that's really not enough. Because at that speed and 40,000, the bit will tend to follow the grain of the wood. And difficult to control. So I'm just doing a real simple design. If I were going to try anything more complicated, I would probably want to buy one of the specialized wood piercing tools, which go at about 300 to 400,000 RPM. And I have read that those are the best things to use for serious wood piercing, as opposed to the frivolous kind that I'm doing. So what I'm going to do here is just a little starburst. I'm just going to draw it in here. So like that. Length of the line to be controlled by the depth of the cut here. I could repeat that design all the way around. I'm not going to do that. These little tea light candles, they don't put out a whole lot of light. So what I'm going to do is just put one design right in the front, and then around, say, 2/3 of the interior, I'm going to stick in some aluminum foil as a reflector. All right, back to the lathe. You can see those little burn smudges I've got on there. So I'm not going to sand all the way back up, starting with 150, but I am going to start, I think, at 240. I'm still at 750. All sanded. I don't think I'm going to do anything else to it, so I can go ahead and put the finish on now. And I'm going to use friction polish for small turnings like this. It's definitely one of my favorite items to use. That is, finishes to use. And that's got a pretty good shine to it. Now I'm going to put a little Renaissance wax on top of that, microcrystalline wax. Now to buff that, gonna step it up here to 1750. All right, that looks good. Now it's time to part it off. And there we have it. I'm going to cut a piece of this tin foil right here. Dull side, shiny side. I'm going to tape it around the interior using this Turner's double stick tape. And the corner. I'm going to cut it in half and do it half at a time. Goes right into the remaining 1.5 inch depression down there, and I'm going to turn off the lights. And so the candle light comes through pretty well. In addition, it's coming through the sides there where I cut it really thin.